Wrestle Magicpod, official sponsors of British Empire Wrestling.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Gross. You might know me as the gardener from the Wrestle Magic Pod. And I know that some of you have accidentally stumbled onto us and you enjoy the show, which we really appreciate. We really thank you for that. We don't think that you understand or know who we are or why we do what we do. So we're going to explain ourselves, tell you who we are, give you a little bit of why we do what we do, why we love what we love, and why we do this. We do this all for you, the listener, but also for us because we're the fans. We're wholehearted fans for many, many decades and generations. And so without further ado, let me introduce this whole group. So we have the backbone, my nephew Maverick, who is a co-author of the show. We have King Scully, who is an amazing contributor, and this man finds a lot of talent for us. He lives in the UK. He's great, and he's going to introduce himself in a little bit. And we have my co-host that I like to work with a lot, Mr. Sean Bush. So without further ado, if you want to go into the history, my nephew, Mr. Maverick, take it away.
All right, and I appreciate you calling me the backbone. I have kind of considered myself the quarterback or just whatever kind of almost lead in a way of this, because there's been a lot of times where I've kind of jumped in and had to be whatever to keep this going, because there's been a lot of times where it's like, well, what's going on, guys? Crap, nobody's recorded. All right, give me a minute. And, you get somebody on the phone or whatever. But this all started back when we were on a different podcast. We're not going to say the name of it because we don't necessarily want to promote them, but we're not going to try to throw any dirt on them either. Like, we have bad blood with them in a way, but we're not trying to diminish them necessarily. So we're not going to say any names, but if you know, you know. Not a big deal. So we all actually met, except for Sean at the time. I don't believe he was on the show at that point. But we all met on there, obviously, except for myself and Michael, because, well, we're related. And at the time, I mean, we were just making whatever episodes we could, between interviews, between just Mount Rushmores, whatever we could do. That's just history. And we wanted our episodes to always try to be timeless. We don't like to date ourselves here at Wrestle Magic. And eventually it got to a point where, well, we're not getting any contribution from the creators of that channel. We're not getting compensated in any way. We're not getting help with anything, whether it's for the interviews that we're doing, and they're getting paid for it. So why should we stay? So we decided to go our own avenue, and here we are. And maybe you guys have stumbled across this because, hey, that's one of my favorite wrestlers, or I know who that wrestler is, and that's why you've jumped on this channel. It's probably why most of you have clicked on anything on this channel. But we're just a few guys who want to give you guys some information and interviews that are timeless. That's kind of our whole point. And with that, I guess I'd want to pass it to Scully, because, I mean, you're probably the next in line, bud. Scully, you're muted.
Fine. Yeah, sorry. I had to mute because I had problems. Then my Spotify started playing, and it was playing Eminem. It was playing a song, and I couldn't turn it off. And I was like, help. Oh,
only you, Scully. Only you.
I thought it would have been you, Mr. Gross, not me. But yeah, that's me, King Scully, the one who messes things up as he's recording. And I'm also the one that Michael Gross brought to the table. So I messaged you, I believe, Michael, on Twitter.
That's
I'm
correct,
not calling it X because it isn't that. And then you gave me an audition, and you thought I sounded all right, even though I sound a bit like I've been smoking cannabis all day, but I honestly don't. And then I come on, I did a couple of episodes, and then, as the same as you, Mav, like, we weren't really getting any help, really. We wasn't getting any promotion, wasn't really sharing our stuff. Like, we were doing decent interviews with people, and he wasn't really sharing them. He wasn't really putting us on the map. So yeah, we went our own way as a thing, and here we are after a bit of fun. We've managed to interview a lot of people, a lot of wrestlers, and we also do our own stuff. So yeah, it's been really fun, really, so far, and hope it carries on.
So, Mr. Sean Bush, what brings you to the table, sir?
You did, I believe. We classic, love story. Met at a bar, and it was magic, Wrestle Magic, as it were. No, you just start, BSing with each other, and you're like, you like wrestling, I like wrestling. There's not a lot of other people at this particular watering hole that were into that. A few other people, I think Daryl has been on the show at least once. But yeah, that's where I came from.
Well, also, I really appreciate your intelligence. And like I've said on the show a bunch of times, whenever you and I are on, that I cannot beat you at trivia, especially horror trivia. I think I'm like the horror aficionado. And then I show up the Hideaway and I have to play against him and Larissa. And it's just like, how much wider should I spread my legs for you to kick it? Okay. But it's all the genius and the brilliance that we've all put together because we actually care about wrestling. We care about making timeless episodes. We care about doing something, putting our word and our name out there. It's like our own little television show. And while we're not really making anything now, we were not compensated for all the things that we had done before, which I think, I don't want to say is disgusting. And it's not like the biggest goal because it's not like we're going to quit our jobs and become YouTube casters tomorrow. It would be a great goal to have. But the fact is, we all love this. And we all, minus Sean, because you weren't, well, you were actually on the old show once or twice. We weren't compensated. We weren't given back what was taken from us, which was a lot of talent, a lot of great shows, a lot of great interviews, thanks to you, Maverick. And, of course, me, I had some of the first wrestlers on the shows. We don't talk about that person. But it's just the fact that, yeah, but it's the fact that we created something that we really like. So what we're going to do is, now that we've introduced ourselves and talk about who we are, and first of all, I was on that other show and I started in 2019. And I was faithfully there till last year when we split off. Now, Wrestle Magic was originally actually, the name of it, which is a goof, is from my 16th birthday. My parents told me that they were getting me a present for my birthday, and they said it had something to do with wrestling. And I knew that wrestling was coming to the Richfield Coliseum in Cleveland that year. And so I was thinking it was that. And so I was all amped up about it. But Mav's mother, my sister at the time, said, it's probably stupid, something like a T-shirt that says Wrestle Magic. And then my brother said it in a disco funk. He's like, Wrestle Magic. And that's how we got the idea for the whole theme to the show to come in. Now, with that being said, now that we know how much we are invested in the show and how much we are invested in our listeners, because this is about you and we want as much feedback as possible, we want to know a few things. So we're going to start with Scully first. Who's your favorite wrestler and why?
My favorite wrestler of all time is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Yeah, since he came on the scene, like, just charisma, his whole promos, even if it's supposedly scripted. But yeah, he's just class. Like, I'm not a big fan of him now. I kind of think he's fell off a bit, but like, I don't think you can beat, as good as the Corporation Rock was, as good as the People's Champion was. For me, the best Rock was the Hollywood Rock. He had me in stitches when he like took the mick out of Hulk Hogan. When he, what else? Goldberg, and he brought out Gilbert, and just, he was just so entertaining. And obviously you had the Rock concerts and he was just hilarious. So for me, yeah, the Rock's my favorite.
You throw it to the next.
Let's go with Mav. Who is yours and why?
I knew you were going to throw it at me. No, I'm kind of torn because, well, growing up, I was a huge fan of Jeff Hardy. I'm not going to lie. That was just, it was the thing to be into around 2009 to like 2012-ish. Around whenever he went to TNA, that's when, it was still fun to watch him, but his demons still got to him, and it, eventually you start to kind of wither back from it when he's getting pulled away for rehab over and over, and it's like, is it really worth continuously watching this? Is, not to say the guy's unreliable, but at the time it kind of felt that way as a fan. Like seeing Bound for Glory, or maybe it was Victory Road, whichever TNA pay-per-view it was, where he showed up just completely out of his mind to have a match with Sting, and then Bischoff actually had to get in the middle of them, basically tell Sting, hey, just throw him down, get the pin quick, we got to get him out of here. It's a pretty bad look. And I'm not talking down on the man, we all have our demons, but, it's kind of diminishing. But honestly, yeah, that was probably my favorite then, and I'll still watch Jeff Hardy now. And that's just, one of those things. Incredible performer throughout his life, and I can't think of anybody that has really had as big of an influence on my wrestling watching like Jeff Hardy did. And I guess that's it really. But if I'm going to throw it to somebody else, it's going to be Sean. But last thing I'll say before that is his feud with CM Punk was kind of unmatched, but I think that's because it was a little bit real too at the same time.
Agree there. That was a good one. Sting. It's going to be Sting. As a kid, he's almost tailor-made to draw, kids in, from where I was at before the Crow Sting, even with the Surfer Sting with blonde hair, the face paint, all that, just the, being a white meat baby face that was so able to pull that off without being too terribly cheesy, I guess. I got a little bit older, maybe a few other guys popped up, but I am an emotional guy for a lot of things, but surprisingly, I surprised myself. I didn't cry, but it was a little emotional a couple of years ago watching the retirement match that he had with AEW, just because you kind of realize at that point, I'm 38 now, that it's like, wow, I've really been watching this guy for, 20 something years, almost 30 years, I was dressed up as him for Halloween, when I was 11 years old or something like that, 12 years old. So it's just one of those things that still kind of connects a lot of my childhood and really pulled me into wrestling in general.
So I guess that leaves me.
Yeah, throw it to you, Mike. I don't have many hosting skills, so
It's okay. So I'm going to go with the antithesis of Sting, the one and the only, the man that got me hooked on wrestling more than anybody else. Woo! The Nature Boy, the 16-time world champion, the jet flying, limousine ride, Ric Flair. Ric Flair, to watch him do what he did when I was young and having the blessed area of territories drying up when I was a kid, when I was very first starting to watch, and seeing him in different areas, watching him do 60-minute matches on TV for small promotions and things like that, when nobody had that. Oh, that was amazing. And then watching him on WTBS, TBS, whatever you want to call it now, 605 Live, 6 to 8 on every Saturday, and then 6 to 7 on Sundays, and just watching what he could do. And the fact that Hulk Hogan never came out and wrestled. He only came out and wrestled for certain events. It was like Saturday Night's Main Event or something like that. You didn't see him regularly. There was no Raw back then. There was no, he was supposed to be an attraction, but it was like, he was such a boring wrestler. But I watched Ric Flair wrestle the caliber of Nikita Koloff, Magnum TA, Dusty Rhodes, Sting, Dr. Death Steve Williams,
Eric's.
the Von Erichs, Harley Race. Before he went to WWF, I got to see one match with Harley Race. Terry Funk, the Great Muta. Every match was a different story, and every match was told well with that story. So Ric Flair, to me, was the man. And so I was glued to all of his matches. I loved his promos. Being a kid who didn't have a ton of money growing up and stuff, I wanted to be him. I wanted the glasses. I wanted the dress shirts. I wanted the suits
alligator
and everything else. The alligator shoes. Woo! My shoes cost more than your car. If you need a new set of tires, you can hawk my watch. I mean, he was so brilliant in his promos, so quick-tongued. Now, mind you, seeing him at this point in his life, it's not fair to put him against what he used to be. but the man was the man. And if you had him in the Attitude Era, who he was in 1984, in the shape he was in 1984, you had a whole different Attitude Era. There would have been no Triple H. No. Go away, Triple H. We have the man. We have the real man and the guy that can do it every night. And he's not going to marry your daughter. Sorry, Vinny.
He might. He might.
Well, he'll kiss any woman. He's the kiss stealer. All right. So what I'm going to do is go reverse order and bounce it back to you, Mr. Sean, and say, favorite tag team. Or the tag team that made you love tag teams.
Funny enough, probably the first guys that I was watching were guys like Harlem Heat and even like the Nasty Boys, that mid to late WCW era stuff. But I think we talked about this on a previous show. The one that I went back on in the 80s, which was before my time, that I just really fell in love with watching on old videotapes from back in the day were Demolition. They were always the ripoff of, LOD, but for whatever reason, I don't even know if I can really explain why exactly. I love the way they just carry themselves. They were like the cartoonish, archetype of like a pro wrestling. I mean, not even just tag team, but just pro wrestlers. The face paint, even when Khrushchev got in there at one point, and just did the facial expressions that he used to pull all the time. But Fuji as the manager running around in a suit and cane and everything. It's almost like I said, just the archetypal wrestling thing. If you look up pro wrestling in a dictionary, you wouldn't be surprised to see a picture of those guys, or look it up on Wikipedia. There's a picture of those guys somewhere. Yeah, they look like pro wrestlers.
I commend that pick, actually.
You've got that pick?
Yeah, no. I'm just going to commend that pick because while they were like the Road Warrior ripoff, they were their own entity. And they were at one point one of the longest reigning tag teams of all time in WWF. And Barry Darsow, who was Crush, is talented, but what was it? Axe, who was Mr. Wrestling 2, I think?
Yeah.
Or the Masked Wrestler.
Top of my head now. Bill Eadie.
Bill Eadie, yeah. I mean, the talent was just off the frame. So you actually did have a lot of talent there. So I think that's a very great pick, and I commend that. You go ahead and you can swing it.
Swing it back over to Mav there. That's probably not going to look right, but it looks right on my screen right now.
It's all good. So, given that my favorite was Jeff Hardy, most people would expect me to say the Hardy Boys, but no, it was actually the Motor City Machine Guns. Because, started watching TNA, and it just felt different to all the WWE that I had watched growing up. Because all I could think was, okay, I've seen a lot of the more boring on WWE at that point, outside of the Hardys, the Dudleys, Christian and Edge. All right, they were great. But then seeing the way that the chemistry worked when it came to Motor City Machine Guns, when it came to seeing them against Beer Money, it was just a different level. And all I could think was, this is what tag teams should be. They have personality that's beyond just, I'm this person, that's this person. There's so much more to it rather than two guys that just got shoved together and hoping for the best. They were a real team, in my opinion. And I truly do have a lot of love for them. And yeah, that's all I can really say about it, is they were the face of the tag team division for TNA. And that's another reason that I really felt that I really fell in love with them was, well, they're something different than what I've grown up seeing, and they are so much better, in my opinion. And I'm happy to see that they're in WWE, hopefully getting more money than they ever have. Hope to see more success in their future. But with that, Scully, what do you got?
Yeah, so for me, so obviously growing up in 90s wrestling, I could start seeing a lot of teams I seen was like the Rockers, the Hart Foundation, like Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. You had Owen Hart and the British Bulldog as we went on further. Then you had but for me, my favorite tag team is someone you just mentioned, Mav, actually, and that is Edge and Christian, E&C. But it's more for Christian and Edge. But together, they were great. Like, obviously their TLC matches with the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys, and their promos, they were hilarious. Like the stuff they did with Kurt Angle, and they just made you laugh when it was on TV. And for all those with flash photography, take a picture now, because that's that's who I would pick. And yeah, like I said, I'm not really a fan of Edge. I'm more of a fan of Christian, but together they're my favourite tag team.
Well, I guess it comes back to me. And so, I mean, I got to go. Everybody knows it's going to be there. It's the Road Warriors. Oh, we have another cameo. You've got competition there. You've got competition. Who is this munchkin?
This is Daisy.
Daisy has a big snout.
Yeah, she does.
So, Sean, you've got competition. Oh, we got the Moose. The Moose is not intimidated. Sit down. I just did the theme.
He might get excited and start going crazy. He loves seeing other dogs, so I'm waiting on him to look at the screen and to start losing his mind.
So I love the classic Road Warriors, the NWA Road Warriors, before they went to WWF and went under the Legion of Doom moniker, which they were always the Legion of Doom because that was a stable they were part of for a long time. But the point is, seeing them in their prime, just the way they would come in, decimate people. And I was such a small guy. I wanted to be Hawk. I wanted to be like, but instead I was like, hey, so the body didn't develop. And so
you didn't take your vitamins. Come on.
I took every vitamin known to man. I said my prayers too, brother. That's why that Hulk Hogan's fallen. So when it came down to it, I wanted to be a Road Warrior. I would sometimes paint my face up. I stole my mom's lipstick. I did it. And I would just paint up. And I would just be, I thought I was so cool, which I wasn't. And I got my ass whipped, to be honest with you. But that's when a performer really has a grip on you. They really pull you inside that chest. They really pull you inside and make you say, this is must-see TV. This is a must-see team. And that was my must-see team, was the Road Warriors. And, while Sean and I covered this, like the sloppiest thing you ever could have done was a scaffold match, because Jim Cornette's legs went out, blew out both ACLs or whatever. You can't put people in matches that they really should not be in. And especially at the size of the Road Warriors, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. You can't do that, but it was a must-see match. And it's like, okay, I get it. There's eyeballs on it, but that's what put the Powers of Pain over into WWF, because they didn't want to work scaffold matches with the Road Warriors and lose and take that dive. So with every good, there's bad. And with the Road Warriors, there's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad in the faults of the teams that fell to them and then either disbanded or just went by the wayside because they became, I hate to say it, Road Warrior fodder. So that's what kind of like gets me about my Road Warriors. It's like, I love them. There is no draws. There is no puke draw. There's no Heidenreich.
What about Sunny? Come on.
Go away. Sunny, yeah, she didn't exist either. And I love some Paul Ellering back in the day when he was just doing some of the greatest managerial work.
How about, if you really want to get deep in it, what about the what was his name? Eddie? Was that the name? The
bring that puppet into my life that did not exist.
We don't stand Eddie for the OD.
No, there's just no. I don't even know if his name. I can't even remember his name because I want to like bleach it from my brain. But so that was it. Really was.
Who fell off the Titan, Tron? Someone. I remember.
I believe that was Draws.
It was Draws.
No, Draws pushed.
He pushed Hawk.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Which I mean, that was a punishment to exploit his demons. And honestly, if you have a problem, you should go get help instead of them punishing you on TV about it.
Allowing Vince McMahon to,
exploit it.
I don't know who was it that said, personal issues sell tickets. It wasn't Vince McMahon, but he certainly lived by that.
It was probably Bill Watts, but I wouldn't quote me on that one. So what we're going to flip it back to is onto you, Mav. You're going to lead on this one, your favorite match. The match that said, this is the match.
I mean, favorite match? Is this just like all time, recent? Because there's a million here that you can go off of, honestly. But, I mean, are we talking about maybe the one that really got us like interested in wrestling or like kept us coming back, I guess?
I would say the one that, when you talk about wrestling, that's the match. That's the one.
Like it's one of the first ones that I'd want to bring up because
Yeah.
it kind of depends on the person, honestly. But it kind of depends really on the person that I'm talking to because honestly, I will say Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask a lot, which, guys, sign the petition to get the dude in the Hall of Fame. He deserves it. But point being, it's got technical expertise as well as a little bit of high-flying excitement. What else can you really look for? That's one of those things that you don't see every day. And that's one of those that I truly believe, you know, some people say Meltzer's scale is kind of broken to this point. That's one of those that I do believe was a true 5-star match beyond anything, you know, before it went kind of crazy with, you know, AEW and everything, which I don't necessarily agree or disagree with it. I kind of just leave the rating system alone, but that's one I will 100% agree. Yeah, that's a 5-star match right there. Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask, because what's not to love, man, realistically. And just for putting me on the spot, Michael, what about yours?
That's a very good question. Which Michael? Michael Gross or Michael Scully? The
Michael
King?
Gross.
Okay, Michael Gross. Here it is. So there's two matches that I always think about, and one features the fallen one. It's Benoit beating both Triple H and HBK at WrestleMania. The whole ticker tape, everything coming down. It was the Odyssey. It was the actual true long story of the underdog. And you had one at the time, and like, I know what he did, everybody. I know what he did. Okay. I do not excuse that. But he was one of the greatest technical wrestlers in the world. Okay. So I'm just looking at this from a match standpoint, not from trying to endorse a guy who did something terrible. But it was one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my life. And the story told, and because he was always just such the underdog, and he was always so there, and they pull it away. I really didn't think it was going to happen. When it did, it was beautiful. So that's one of them, and probably Flair versus Steamboat number 3. Flair and Steamboat, they just worked magic. They told a story. All 3 matches told a story, but the stories they told to build to it, you just don't do anymore. If like they're talking about, you know, Reigns and Cody number 3, it's not there. It's not the same story as Steamboat and Flair 3 times in a year and a half versus 3 years in a row, the same story with nothing. You have all the meat and no potatoes. So what's the point? So, but Flair versus Steamboat, that whole series was just, it was beautiful. But number 3, it was just like, wow. The false finishes, they were there, but they were limited. The selling, that is selling. So if you want to see what selling is, please go back and see that. That is selling. And just the story in the ring. That was NWA. NWA, birth of WCW. So I think halfway through it became WCW. So that's like my, like, definite, like, meat and potatoes, like full buffet on the table, like everything you need. So now I'm going to pass it to you, Sean.
Well, I would love to say that my favorite match should have been Sting versus Hogan at Starrcade '97 because. And I think it still has to be at least given some kind of credit just for the buildup. I mean, you're talking about Sting being off for over a year. And I remember that time period and how anticipated that event was. I think it was the best-selling pay-per-view of either of the companies that year. And for good reason, just the anticipation, the buildup. But unfortunately, it didn't deliver. I'd have to go with my favorite being, yes, I hear you. And I was there for it here in Louisville at Freedom Hall in '97. My 2 favorite wrestlers were Sting and DDP, and they fought for the World Heavyweight Championship at the time in WCW on a Nitro that we were at, and they put on a Great match. Going back to watch it, especially, you really appreciate it. When you get to a finish, like DDP's trying to pull Sting out of the ropes for a diamond cutter to end it, and Sting stops him, and then grabs him up for the Scorpion Death Drop. And they, shake hands, embrace at the end, two baby faces, two probably the most popular baby faces at the time, without a doubt. And again, my two favorite wrestlers, and I was there. So as many great matches as I love over the years. The TLC matches was one thing that I remember everybody in my class talking about the next day. Even people that you wouldn't expect to be wrestling fans back in the day, but that one just always a special one for me. So we'll go with the King on this one, King Scully.
So, before I actually say my favourite match, I need to say some honourable mentions because it is a hard one. I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, is that one or is that it? Or I don't know which one, because like obviously there was one Razor Ramon first HBK in the ladder match at WrestleMania. Then HBK first Undertaker, considered one of the best matches ever at WrestleMania 25, I believe, 2009. What a story, what a match, trying to break the streak, tried everything, but he failed. I was never really an Undertaker fan, but you can't deny the aura and his performances in the ring. I mean, most of the time was his entrance for most of the match, but that's a different story. And another honourable mention would be one of the greatest rivalries. I don't know if you're going to ask this one yet next, Michael, but Rock vs. Austin at WrestleMania 17. A lot of people hate it when he joined Vince McMahon because it went against everything that Austin was and Austin did. But I just thought the whole story was great. And I always remember the next night at Raw when it was The Rock versus Stone Cold in the cage or whatever it was, and then you had Vince come down, and then you had Triple H to the rescue, but no, he weren't to the rescue. He hit The Rock with a sledgehammer, and then they took him out. And I always remember the little music that went along with that when they played the promo a few times after that. So that would be my 3 honourable mentions. But my actual favourite match is not just a singles match, it's not a triple threat match, it's actually the 1992 Royal Rumble match, because I absolutely love it. I've watched it a million times. It's got everyone. And the fact that Michael's favourite wrestler, Ric Flair, won, coming in number 3. And you had Gorilla Monsoon saying no one has ever won the Royal Rumble coming from number 1 to whatever it was, 5 or whatever, ever in the history of Royal Rumbles. And he came out with, I think it was Mr. Perfect, wasn't it? And you had Bobby the Brain Heenan, who was incredible on the commentary table, probably my favourite commentator. And you got him making all little jokes when you got, oh, sorry if I'm long-winding this, by the way, but then you got like a one bit where Roddy Piper helps Ric Flair, and then he's saying, oh, thank you, I never thought I'd say this, Roddy Piper, thank you. And then he hits Ric Flair and he's like, why you skirt wearing freak, you no good freak. And it's just like hilarious. And obviously Ric Flair wins, and we had Hulk Hogan being the sore loser because he got eliminated and pulled Sid over the rope with the help of Ric Flair coming from behind when he won. But yeah, that would be my favourite match.
That's pretty awesome. That's really awesome. I think that we've definitely explained and exposed like different generations of our lives and different generations of everything that we've seen in wrestling and different aspects. So I'm going to throw a couple more quick questions at everybody, if you don't mind. Favorite female wrestler? I'll start. And I probably have to go with Bull Nakano, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I was actually watching her in New Japan, or All Japan, excuse me, AGP, on a Canadian channel when I was a kid, and she scared me. She seriously scared me when I was 10. The tattoos, the mohawk. I swear she was caning people. I swear to God she was caning people. She would take the trophies that they would get and break it over other women, and these beautiful little Japanese women just like, oh, like it was like when Dikembe Mutombo would get fouled, like, oh, and it was just bad. And I was actually scared of her, and I thought she wasn't Bull Nakano, she was the bulldozer. So that's like probably my favorite female wrestler of all time. I mean, number 2 would probably be Charlotte, just because I'm a big Ric Flair fan, and she is really, really great. But honestly, Bull has something. She's created something that's gone generation to generation to generation. And a fan of the show, obviously, a friend of the show. And I'm going to go on to record to say that when I was a kid and I would see her take the ring, even though I only got to see this for maybe 7 or 8 weeks, staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning to watch this Canadian television station, every time she came out, I was like, I really thought she was going to kill somebody. I really thought she was going to murder another woman in the ring. So with that, I'm going to pass it to you, Mav.
Well, I just want to start off saying she was a total sweetheart. I mean, when she came on the show, absolute, like, nicest lady ever. I couldn't believe, like, as soon as she got on the call, she was just, hello. And I'm like, oh, that's not who I was expecting. All right, but here we go. But if we're talking about more present day, which that's going to be my number 2, honestly, I'm actually going to give it to Harley Cameron. She's been making waves, and I can appreciate what she's trying to do and what she is doing. She does it very well. But if I'm going to go all time, I'm going Manami Toyota all day. I agree with MVP. She's one of the greatest of all time. And if I were to give a honorable mention to my favorite match, it was going to be Manami Toyota versus Aja Kong. That's just how it is. Manami was incredible. And even speaking to her, she's a very nice person. I couldn't believe just how genuinely sweet she was, and talking about, you know, she doesn't really see herself as, you know, that great and everything. Also, she's got her shoulder injuries and everything, hoping she gets better. But her talking about she used to high fly so that even those who couldn't see very well could still see her get up in the air a little bit. That's really just wanting to put on a good show for your people, no matter where they're sitting. And I can appreciate that. So yeah, Manami Toyota is going to be my favorite female wrestler. And that's just bottom line for me. Sean, what about you, man?
I'm going to keep it kind of present too. I've been completely, and I had seen her work over at Stardom a little bit before she got, you know, kind of bigger here in the States and at AEW, but I love Toni Storm. I'm a massive fan, and everything she's done with the timeless gimmick, to me at least, I've been thoroughly sports entertained by her character, by everything, you know, in the ring. She's damn solid. I don't know if maybe there's a few probably better technical wrestlers out there, but you know, she changed her style up to match that older generation type of wrestling when she went more into this gimmick. You know, even briefly returning to the old rock star Toni Storm gimmick that she had for 3 matches, changing a style up, but having the, you know, wherewithal as a performer to know to do things like that and the little things. And just, again, having, you know, me, the viewer, in the palm of her hand, you know, as a speaker, as a performer, I can't really think of anybody else off the top of my head that I would put, you know, above her right now. She's been fantastic, and I've loved watching her in AEW. So with that, Mr. Scully.
This one, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to lie. I don't really have a favourite. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of all the names in my head, and I'm like, there's no one that I've really, like, rooted for or been like, obviously, you could say like Stacy Keibler because of her long legs, but that's not because of her wrestling skills. And then, yeah. But I mean, like, Lita is a good one because obviously she came in with the Hardy Boy. Well, first she was with Rios, whatever his name was, wasn't it?
S.A. Rios.
Yeah, and I remember with him first, and then she went with the Hardys, wasn't it? I think. And then, but I think I'm going to have to say, I wouldn't say like, this isn't like, I'd have to really think about this, but for me, I'm just going to say it because like her demeanor and her presence would be China, I think, the ninth wonder of the world. I think I'll go with her for now, only because, like, obviously, when she came with DX as like a bodyguard, and then she used to like interfere, and then you see her fighting with Mark Henry on the outside with the Nation of Domination, and then you got her. I remember her having intercontinental title matches, and then when she was with Eddie Guerrero, which was quite entertaining, and and then like facing with Chris Jericho and stuff. So I would say China for now, but I don't really know, to be honest. Sorry.
Don't treat her like a woman.
Yeah.
Wrestle Magic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to kind of close up the show now that you know who we are and you have a good grasp and idea of who your hosts are and why we do what we do and how much we love what we love. Now, with this being said, we like to sign off with fun facts. We like to sign off with recommendations and just give a little bit back to our community, our listeners, and everybody else that, is kind of helping us out by just saying like, subscribe, please like and subscribe, and give us ideas for shows that you want to hear. So first of all, Mav, you go first.
All right. Seems to be a theme running with you about making me go first and things, but ain't no
picking on you, man. He's picking on you.
I hear that. But my recommendation for this week, guys, just pull out the old PS2, start playing that, man. Let's go back to the really old stuff. Let's just enjoy ourselves. The console's over 20 years old now, believe it or not. It feels weird looking back at it, but, that was some of our childhoods, and, why not just go back to it? I've been doing it recently. And out here in the UK, it's actually kind of nice because a lot of used game stores out here, they sell those games really cheap. So it's not a bad market just to walk in and be like, oh, $2-3 games. Cool. Why not? So that's kind of what I've been doing recently. And I do recommend it just because it's cheap fun. What else can you really go beyond that? And with that, you guys know how I usually sign off. You guys can follow me at Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at MaintenanceMav. If you guys want to contact me, we can talk wrestling, we can talk whatever. I don't really care. But with that, do something nice for somebody. You never know who needs it out there. Jump in, get somebody a little bit of help with just, I don't know, maybe they need, some groceries or something. Maybe they just need, a hug. Who knows? Help out your buddy. You never know who needs it. With that, where's my buddy Memphis Mark? I'm out.
All right, Scully, would you like to sign off, sir?
Yes, certainly. So my recommendation, again, where can I go with this one? I would say I've recently been watching, I don't know if any of you are a fan of true crime, but I'm a bit obsessed with it. It's kind of like, don't worry, I'm not going to murder anyone. I'm not going to kill my whole family or anything. But, but yeah, like if I'm listening to podcasts or something, that would be my go-to. Other than the Wrestle Magic pod, of course. But yeah, I'd listen to true crime, and I would suggest a podcast if you like true crime, and that is True Crime with Ellie Mack. So basically, the good thing about her podcast is they're not very long, maybe 30 minutes, maybe some are a bit longer. But with her podcast, she puts videos with it, so you can see the. Because obviously in America, they don't do it so much in the UK, but in America and other countries, they will show the court with they're allowed to. But over here, they kind of stay away from that sort of thing. But they show videos and everything, so I would recommend listening to that. And I do the social media stuff on the Wrestle Magic Pod. So of course, follow us on the Wrestle Magic Pod on Instagram, on Facebook, on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and on TikTok. I sometimes post clips on there, trying to do it more often. And thank you for listening to the Wrestle Magic Pod. And I hope you like my king tattoo. If I can show it you, I can't show it. Not really working. There you go.
Nice.
Very nice.
Had that done yesterday. My arm's a bit sore today now, but yeah, thank you and peace out.
All right, Mr. Sean.
Well, I'm glad the precedent was set because I really haven't been watching much TV and movies here lately. But so I'll give one then real quick. I've been listening or watching and listening to a YouTube channel. This person, they go by Queen Coke Francis. They talk about a lot of different topics that, yes, you like her too, centering on like pop culture and politics. They're a drag queen as well. But one of the funniest things that I saw on an episode she did recently was she described pro wrestling as drag for men, which I thought was hilarious and really accurate in some ways. But she's, I keep, they, them, whatever. They're very entertaining. And I've been listening to their show quite a lot here lately, just for various different subjects. So it's been fun for me. But again, haven't been watching much TV or movies lately. So I'll go with that one. And social media, this name down here is not my name. If you want to try to find me, you can. Good luck. And listen to our podcast. Watch it too.
All right, I guess that leaves me. So first of all, I want to recommend a couple of things. On YouTube, if you watch the cooking channel, Mr. Make It Happen. Mr. Make It Happen is amazing. His shows are really great, and everything that I've made off of his recipes are just mind-blowing, especially his gumbo, holy biscuits. Now, I'm going to do both my song and my movie in the same genre. My movie is going to be Swingers, and it's not what you think it's about. It's about the swing dancing craze that was created in the Los Angeles scene a long time ago, and it's very, very good. It has Vince Vaughn in it. It has 3 very memorable scenes, and all I can say is, if he's polite, Mikey, invite him in. You'll understand, and if you know, you know. And with that, I'm going to do my song before I sign out, and my song is going to be Zoot Suit Riot by the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, because it just goes hand in hand, and it's a lot of fun. And I know sometimes like with the Revco stuff and some of the other songs I've given you recommendations on, they might be a little harsh, but this is fun. This is toe tapping music. This is dance around the room, doing the dishes, just kind of, getting stuff done, and you're happy. It's happy music. With that, you can reach me at 144captain on X. And if you want to discuss wrestling, if you have anything to talk about as far as a show and ideas, because we want to embrace that. We definitely want to embrace that. Please, I think I don't want to speak for the whole group here, but I do believe that all of us would like to have your opinions so we can do shows tailored to what our listeners would like to hear. Spread the word, retweet, re-X, whatever you want to call, share, and tell your friends. Okay? And if you have critiques, let us know. Put it on my page. Put it on the Wrestle Magic Pod page. Let Maintenance Mav know. We're all here together for you. With that being said, I just want you to know my fun fact. Both Carl Sagan and Jacques Cousteau were quoted by a physicist that said, we know more about outer space that we've been hundreds of thousands of miles into than we do about the depths of our own oceans. Think about that. With that, have a great day. Sign the petition to get the Jumping Bomb Angels into the Hall of Fame. Can we get everybody to agree, please?
Yeah, everybody should sign the petition to get the Jumping Bomb Angels in. They're friends of mine. I want to put out an episode soon about my experience when I met them in Japan. It was amazing. Got to hang out with them. Went to Norio's bar, Gohan, which highly recommend, guys. It's an awesome place. Really, really love the both of them. They are very sweet. Even their manager, Rob, great friend of the show. Love the dude to death. Great friends out there. I hope to go back again and have a similar experience. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, everybody should sign that petition, try to get them into the Hall of Fame. They definitely deserve it.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They love the show. They love us. They especially love you, Mav. But I was blessed enough to be on the show with one of the Angels. And I love the fact that when I asked her, music to recommend, she was Kiss. And I was like, they're kabukis to you, aren't they? They're kabukis.
Yes.
So, all right, gentlemen. Well, I guess that's a wrap.
Wrestle Magic.